No. Computer.
Do I look overdone?
No, you look great.
It's in the car.
Yes.
Let's see.
Zoom.
What?
Zoom.
Wait, you're on Zoom?
Yeah. They're saying it starts in a few minutes. Excuse me. No, everybody in. Just getting a hair tie.
Put yourself.
He's inside.
Okay, can you guys hear us? Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody here?
Morning.
Everybody hear us okay?
Good
Yes.
morning.
Good.
All right.
Welcome. Hi, I'm Cheryl Black. Honey.
Becky.
Okay. This is us. And welcome and thank you to everybody who's attending this morning. And we're going to zip through this and please feel free to ask any questions if you have any. If you haven't done this before, it's a lot of fun. You're going to really enjoy it. And we want to really thank you because we could not even begin to do this without the help of everybody who's a volunteer. So we really, really appreciate you taking the time out to participate in. And the owls, thank you too. All right. So I know we're not. Oops. Here, pardon. Go to share first. All
Here.
right. Despite Zoom meetings being the most popular thing of the last year, we're still a little new at trying to set these up.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Can you guys see the PowerPoint presentation okay?
Looks
Yes.
just right, yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So the survey is going to be on Saturday. To please start at 8 a.m. Not at noon, not if you slept in because you had a tough night at the party. Try to get out there at 8 o'clock or as close to as possible. It helps to keep all of the data. Everybody goes out at the same time.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but your sound keeps going in and out. I don't know if it's,
Okay, let me just.
if you're closer, it's a little better.
Yeah, I'll sit with my face right here. So
Thank you.
anyways, yeah, please start as close as possible to 9 o'clock and be at your spot ready to go. You need to bring with you the instruction sheet. All of this will be in the folder that you pick up. The owl identification cheat sheets that gives you a little bit of information about how to tell adults from juveniles and eye colors and so on. The data sheets to fill out. Everybody will get a very up close and personal survey location map that shows you the streets that you're supposed to survey. Make sure you bring a highlighter with you and some pens or pencils for marking your data sheets and marking your maps. Make sure you have a cell phone with you that has Commander Compass Go program installed on it. And I believe that if you are loading this on an Android phone, it's now called, Barbara,
What's it called?
Spyglass.
Spyglass.
Spyglass, yeah.
Spyglass, yes.
So it's the same program. It just has a different name if you try to download it from an Android app. Okay. And bring binoculars. They're very, very helpful when you are trying to scout around for the owls. I gotta get this thing moved here because it's blocking my text. Oh, that's perfect. Good. Okay. In your folder, you're going to find a sign that says Burrowing Owl Survey. Keep this in the back window of your car so that as you slow down or as you pull off the road, you're not going to get a lot of beeps and nasty looks from people who are annoyed that you're driving slowly. And that just gives people the information that you're participating in the Burrowing Owl Survey. So just stick that in your back window and that'll keep you safer. And be comfortable, you know, bring anything you want with you, some drinks, some snacks. Sunglasses are always helpful. A hat if you have to get out and take a look at the owls, and bring some sunscreen. Make sure you wear closed-toed shoes, no flip-flops, because some of these burrows are in kind of weedy lots. And if you want to get out, you don't want to get tangled up with fire ants or anything like that. So make sure you've got good shoes on. Now, when you survey your site, you need to have 2 people in the car. You need one person who is a driver, and you need to have a navigator and the data recorder. And this is the person that must have attended the training so that you're a little bit familiar with how to fill out the data sheets and what you're supposed to be looking for. Make sure that you cover your assigned area completely. And there's 2 things you can do to help you with this. One is to take a look at your map before you go out on the 5th. Sit down with it and try to figure out what the most economical route is to make sure that you hit all the streets and that you're not going over streets a second time unless absolutely necessary. That's going to help a whole lot. And when you're surveying your area, you might want to take the highlighter along and just mark the roads as you go down them so that you know where you've been and where you need to go, because the way that the roads are laid out in Cape Coral can be a little bit confusing. So this helps a whole lot to make sure that you haven't gone any place and surveyed twice. I know you'll have to drive over some areas more than once, but you only want to make sure that you count the burrows once. So again, follow the most logical route through your sector. Please make sure you don't count any owls and any burrows more than once, because what that does is that throws the data off. On some of the sectors, you're going to run into gated communities or maybe areas that you can't get to because of road construction or some other problem. If you can't get to a certain area, just highlight it on your map and or make note of it on the right-hand side of your data sheet. There's a notes section on the right-hand side of the data sheets that I'll point out in a few minutes. And you could just say, you know, couldn't get into such and such a place. And that does happen. That will be a problem with some of these sites. Make sure that you drive slowly and look for burrows on both sides of the road. When you spot a burrow, pull over to the side of the road, and if you can, just observe the burrow from the car for about 5 minutes. This is when the binoculars come in handy. And count the owls that are present. And always make sure that you respect private property. Many people who have owls on their property they like the owls, and they're perfectly happy to have somebody from the Burrowing Owl Survey lurking around their driveway. But don't get out and walk around private property to do the survey. If you need to get out of the car to observe the burrow, do it only if absolutely necessary. And there are spots on the survey, and a lot of you are probably familiar with these. There are lots that have maybe 4 or 5 burrows on them. Some of them are toward the back and you can't see them very well from the road. Get out of the car, just walk quietly up to the burrow. Make sure you stay outside of the PVC pipes, outside of the stakes, and just observe the burrow for 5 minutes and count the owls that you see. Remember that the owls are not always sitting up on top of the burrows. They can be in the brush around the burrows. They can be inside the burrow openings. Sometimes you can find them in the trees. They're up on the roofs of buildings. They sit on top of roadsides and fences and wires, telephone wires. So don't just confine your observations to the ground. Take a look at the area around the burrow and see where the owls might be. Now, identifying burrow sites. Most, but not all of the burrows in the Cape are marked with 4 PVC pipes, and there's at least 1 perch in each of these sites. Sometimes there are more than one, as you can see in this burrow. So most of the time they're pretty easy to see. A lot of them also have that little sign that you see in the middle of this photograph stake that says it's a burrowing owl burrow and to stay away and respect the burrow. There are a lot of locations, though, that have several sets of PVC pipes that indicate several burrows. And these are the places where you're probably going to have to get out of the car and walk around a little bit to make sure that you can see all of the owls.
Just don't walk inside of the white PVC pipes. We don't want anybody to accidentally collapse a burrow by trying to get too close. So just hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, just make sure you're not getting too close to the burrows and staying outside of those PVC pipes and looking in from there so we don't collapse any burrows.
Yeah, unfortunately, on most of these sites that have multiple burrows, there's room in between burrows and in between the PVC pipes to be able to walk around.
Oh, we can't hear you again, I'm
Okay.
afraid.
There are places that you can walk in between the burrows. You can see here that there's a good distance there that you can walk in between. Over here, you can walk in between. You just don't want to be inside of these PVC pipes. Just stay to the outside. Now, occasionally you may come across a burrow that might not be marked at all. And it may be a new burrow, or it may be a burrow that for some reason has lost the PVC markers. So look carefully for owls as you drive along your route, and don't just, be zoomed in on where the PVC pipes are, because occasionally you'll see them on an unmarked burrow. If you come across a burrow that's unmarked for any reason, just make a note on the notes section of your data sheet and just say that this is an unmarked burrow, and somebody will come out eventually and check to find out what the problem is. If it's a new burrow, it'll be staked, and if it's an old one that lost its stakes, it'll be restaked. Now, if you see a location that has a single marker, that's a marker for a gopher tortoise burrow. Don't count that burrow. We love the gopher tortoises. They're wonderful critters, but we're not counting them in the burrowing owl survey. So if you just see one marker, you can ignore that spot. Now, taking GPS readings with the Commander Compass Go app or the Spyglass app on your phone. This is really, really important, because this is the way that the city people and the Friends of Wildlife go out and find these burrows. So we really want to try to emphasize how important it is to get accurate GPS readings. So make sure that you get this right and that you write the proper numbers down on your data sheets, because again, this is how people go out and find the burrows after the burrowing owl survey has been completed. So when you want to take your GPS reading, you want to have your car situated pretty much in between the stakes on the road, or if you're out walking around, again, try to situate yourself inside the middle, or not inside of, but between the stakes that mark the burrow, so that you kind of got a sort of a central location, and you can take your readings from there. Now, when you're using this program on your app, this GPS program on your app, the first thing you've got to do is make certain that the location services are turned on your phone. Otherwise, your phone has no way to know where you are. So you just need to go into settings, go into the privacy setting, and look for location services under privacy, and just make sure that you've got the location services turned on. I know a lot of people turn them off because they don't like being tracked everywhere they go, but you definitely need it to be on if you're going to be taking the GPS readings. Now, open the Compass Commander Go application that's on your phone. And this actually is easy. If any of you did this last year, we were using Google Maps. This is much, much easier. All you have to do is find your position either in your car or standing alongside of a burrow, open Compass Commander Go app, and you're going to find the numbers that you need right up here in the upper right-hand corner of your phone screen. There's 2 sets of numbers. There are 3 sets of digits for each number, right here and then right here at the north and west. And what these do, for those of you who don't know what a GPS app does, is it gives you the coordinates, like the north and west coordinates, and pinpoints your location. That's why you need to have both numbers. One number is not going to be helpful. You need to have both of them because that gives you that cross point where your position is located. Okay. So again, upper right-hand corner of the screen, and you're going to find 2 sets of 6 numbers for each location. First number is for degrees, second number is for minutes, third number is for seconds. Write all 3 sets of numbers down. Designate north or west when you enter the data on your data sheet. And you'll be adding that information on the data sheet right here, and just write your sets of numbers right here for each burrow, for each location that you stop at. And again, make sure that you write both the numbers. And again, if you only have 1 set of numbers, it's not useful because you need to have both numbers to get the exact location. Now, this is really important, and I'm going to have to remind myself to do this because I'm not used to using this app. Make sure that you turn the app off between burrow locations, because that's going to reset the app so that when you get to the next spot, it's going to read the next location. So make sure that you turn it off, and then before you get out of the car, or before you get out of the or before you walk over to the burrow, make sure you turn the app on. And then when you get to the middle of the, wherever it is that you want to stand, that's the location that you want to read. Now, what kind of information are you going to be collecting at each burrow? Okay. How many owls did you see, and how many of them are adults, and how many of them are juveniles? Okay, so you want to have a total, and then you want to have adults and juveniles. The juveniles and the adults, when you look at them side by side, they're pretty easy to tell apart. Juveniles have this nice, buffy, fluffy bunch of feathers on their chests. And when you look at them in a group, they all look drunk. They all look drunk. And obviously they're not as big. The adults have a very nicely defined spotted chest, and their feathers are they have nice adult looking feathers. You're going to get a few that are probably right on the borderline. If you're not sure, you can make a note in the note section that says, I saw 2 juveniles, 2 adults, and 1 that I wasn't really sure about. So just give it your best guess. Most of the time you can tell them apart. Most of the time you can tell them apart. Yeah. Eye color, dark eyes and yellow eyes. It's very interesting that in the past, let's see, this is going to be the 4th year that we've done this survey. There seems to be a definite trend in the change in numbers of birds with these eye colors. And we want to see if this keeps going. Nobody really knows what the ecological evolutionary significance is of these eye colors and these owls, but it's something interesting to look into. So we want to try to keep track of it. So if you can see the eye color of the owls, make a note of that.
Sometimes you'll see one with 1 dark eye and 1 yellow eye. So
yeah,
make
write
note of
that one
too.
down.
Yeah.
Make note of that one. That's interesting. Okay. And you probably won't, but you may see an owl that has been banded. So you go tell them about that. You know more about the banding.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Huh?
Okay. All right. So there was some researchers that were banding owls and monitoring them. So I think those researchers are pretty much done with their study, but we're still going to record any bands that you see. And we're not really looking to get as close to see what numbers are on them, but just the colors of the band and the location is good enough. So they color coordinated the owls, and so that they could tell the individuals that way. So this is a silver band. However, you might have trouble telling the color because those bands are older now and they've probably faded in the sun and elements. So just do the best you can in writing down what color you're seeing on the owl. And there probably won't be very many banded owls remaining.
Is the leg important, right or left?
I don't know that the leg is important, but I would go ahead and write it down just in case it is. So I think those researchers are done though, but I still will collect the information.
Okay, filling out the data sheets. This is really important because this is pretty much why we're doing this. So make sure that you fill out all the information at the top of each page, that just name, date, what time you started, what time you ended, what was the weather like, you know, and what your section number was. That's really important so that we can match the section numbers up with maps. Enter all the data for each borough or each borough cluster. A borough cluster could be a lot with 5 boroughs on it. You might want to just designate that as one cluster and then write the number of boroughs down on that cluster. Make sure you designate what type of lot it was. Was it empty? Was there a building there? Was it a hospital, a school, a library? Was there construction on that lot? Just write down a little bit of information about what kind of lot that is. What time did you hit that borough? And you can get some really close times as you're driving down a street that has a lot of boroughs. Make sure you write down both the GPS coordinates. And somewhere along the line, you might want to try to check and make sure your GPS coordinates are correct, because last year we got GPS coordinates that were like in the middle of the Arabian Sea. And where else were they? There were interesting places.
The Gulf of Mexico,
Yeah,
a lot of them in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't think there's any owls out there. Down in Immokalee.
Yeah, so just once in a while, turn it on and make sure that you're in the right location. How many boroughs were at that location? If you're doing a borough cluster, you know, how many clusters, how many owls at that site? Now, make sure that your totals match up. So if you had 5 owls at that site, you saw 2 adults and 2 juveniles. 2 adults and 2 juveniles do not add up to 5. There's a note over here that says could not correctly age one of the owls. So yes, there were 5 owls there, and that explains why you had a number that was off. But try to do your totals and make sure that between the number of adults and the number of juveniles you saw and any notes that you made about owls that you could distinguish, that your totals add up to the correct number.
Likely, if you're seeing 2 adults that you're sure they're adults, the rest are going to be juveniles.
Yeah. If you can, the number of yellow-eyed owls and the number of dark-eyed owls, okay? And if you spot one, the number of banded owls. Anything unusual or interesting, make a note over here. Make a note over here. You know, there was construction on the lot. A burrow was collapsed. You know, the burrow looked like it was damaged. You couldn't identify the age of one of the owls. You couldn't get close to the burrows to do a really accurate count. Just anything that influences what you see. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a new burrow, unmarked, so we know we need to get out there and mark it.
Or if you see a burrow and all of or a lot of stakes down and the perch has been destroyed or damaged, make a note of that so that that can get out. Somebody can get out and take care of that and make sure that that burrow is repaired. Now, when you to Rotary Park, pick up your folder. Okay, and make sure that everything that was in your folder, your data sheets, the maps, the ID sheets, and any other paperwork is in your folder, and make sure that you turn it in by 4 o'clock on June 5th. Double check before you turn it in that you accurately entered all your data on your data sheets. You might want to do it quickly, add up all your totals, make sure that everything jives, accurately tally your counts. Make sure that you highlighted and noted any streets on your map that you could not cover for whatever reason. Make a little note of the reason, and make sure that you fill out all the contact information on the front of your folder. There's a little sticker on the front of each folder that asks for your name, your phone number, your email, and everything. That's so that if we have any problems with the sheets, that we can contact you and get you to help us out with the data. Okay. And again, a very big thanks to everybody who's volunteering to do this, because there is no way that 2 or 3 people could even begin to do this survey all by themselves. So the owls thank you, we thank you, and we really appreciate you participating in this. It's a fun citizen science project, and we couldn't do it without you. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, was not able to hear when and where I pick up my folder.
Okay, you're gonna pick it up at Rotary Park. And so I'm gonna send out an email on the times and days that you can do that the week before the survey. So there'll be multiple times that you can come pick up. That way everybody has a chance to get here and get their folder beforehand.
Okay.
And when you pick up your folder, I'm gonna go over a lot of this with you to make sure you understand everything. And we'll look at the data sheets together, your maps and so on. So if you have any questions at that time, you can ask me. You will also get my phone number and Cheryl's phone number and my husband Harry's phone number, so that if you have any questions while you're out or concerns, you can reach me and we can help address whatever your issues are.
Great.
I did want to, sorry, rain or shine, yes. Last year it rained the day of the census. So it was raining pretty hard first thing in the morning, but we still went out and counted. So it's rain or shine. Also, I did want to mention, if you see any owls or animals in trouble, then please either call Crow or take care of it yourself. I had to rescue a possum one year during the owl census, but you know, last year we did have some burrows that flooded. So obviously, if you see something in trouble, you can let me know, or I am a Crow volunteer also. So just let me know or help it and I'll get you to the right place to drop it off. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a question. Coordinate format. Do you want degrees, minutes, seconds, or decimal degrees?
Degrees, minutes, seconds, and we're trying to get everybody to use the Compass Commander so that it's all uniform this year.
All right.
Honey, I had a question on the app, the Commander Compass Go app. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I know Cheryl said to turn the app off in between burrows. Is there something in the app where you can actually turn it off?
Just shut it down. Just go out of it and then come back into it. Yeah,
okay, that's what you meant by turning it off, is get out
yeah,
of
you
the
don't have
app.
to turn it completely off. Just go out and come back in.
Okay.
And please try it out beforehand to make sure that your location is working. Try it out and make sure that, you know, you're at your house when you're looking at it. You know, look it up and see where your coordinates are taking you. And that way we have the most accurate coordinates. Last year we had to do a lot of repair work on the coordinates, and luckily I had an intern here that was able to do that, but it was a lot of work for him, but he got his hours in.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you are putting the coordinates in for a burrow and the next burrow you can actually see from where you are, do you need to turn the app off in between those two?
That's a cluster, isn't it?
That would be considered a cluster, even though I took the cluster column off. You probably don't. The coordinates are, I sent them to the planning department. So basically, if they see coordinates in an area where development is going to happen, they're going to ground truth it anyways, to make sure that it's not within the development perimeters. So you shouldn't have to. Just make sure that your coordinates are changing a little bit as you get closer to that burrow. And if you don't see that happening, then maybe shut down and then walk over there and pull it back up.
Okay, thank you.
2 steps away, it's
Yeah.
probably not a problem because it's a big lot and there's one at one corner and one at the opposite corner. You might-
You're cutting out.
Oh, I said, if they're 2 steps away, I mean, if you can turn around and see one burrow and turn around to see the other burrow, they're probably pretty much in the same place. If you're looking at 2 burrows that are in like opposite corners on a big lot, you might want to take 2 separate readings for those, just to be sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
only if it's very far away, because you're gonna see burrows, you know,
That are on top of each other.
you're gonna see burrows on top of each other, and then you'll be able to probably, if it's a big open field, you'll see burrows across the field. So if it's across the field, definitely walk over and get another reading.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Any other
Everybody good?
questions?
All right. Thank you very much for getting up and attending, and it's going to be fun. So if you've never done it before, you'll enjoy it. Get to
Thanks
go
to you
look at
folks for making
lots
it
of cute
possible.
little animals.
What was that, Barbara?
I said,
Yeah.
thanks to you folks for making it possible.
Oh, thanks.
It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I downloaded it on my, it's on my
Stop share, and,
Oh, we need one or the other.